Hello, it's me, your favourite English boy man dog, and I'm back with a build showcase. This time it's Scout's turn. With probably the most overdue build actually. Though I don't even know if I've been putting it off. I mean, I have, objectively speaking, but I don't feel like I've been putting it off because I don't hate using the build. It's like the standard. So is it? Yeah, okay, the game audio is coming through. It's just a standard Scout Cryo build. It has some flourishes, in my opinion, that make it a bit unique. It could be even more unique if I was actually had the balls to use Temp Shock Drac. But I'm not doing that. I'm going for the standard, especially because the lack of M1000 on this channel, I think, is palpable. And Hipster build is overdue. Although Hipster is not the main star of the show. The main star of the show is, of course, the Bolt Shark, because if you're going Cryo, you're not using the M1000. Sorry, you're not using the Zukovs. You're not using Cryo Minelets. Not anymore. You're using the Bolt Shark, the thing that can actually hit a breeder. Right, that's the difference. I mean, flying enemies, yeah, kind of. Although we're not going to be using it against things like that necessarily. Maybe Brundles. But yeah, we can actually hit like breeders. We can actually hit things like Dreadnoughts and high HP targets. Things that actually might need some more freezing power than you can inflict with the shitty cryo minelets. Okay, cryo bolts have really changed the game, and it being on the crossbow allows us to have a lot more flexibility of what we're actually doing. So I'm going to run through the crossbow first because I think the first thing on it is probably the most interesting. Why am I using chemical explosive bolts? Why aren't I using pheromones? I don't know, except I do, because what cryo bolts does is introduce a really interesting way of just using the weapons. And I think what I'm talking about is cryo bolts aren't for crowd clearing. Not really. This is what I mean by the interesting way of actually using the weapon, right? Because and you'll see in practice, I think it's usually the best way to show it off. But the cryo bolts are more for bigger enemies, high priority targets, not low HP priority targets though, like an acid spitzer or something. The M1000 cleans that up with no problem. And we can also use the chemical bolts for that kind of thing as well. It's really flexible. It's one of those builds, in my opinion, that has situational versatility, which, in my opinion, the higher you get that factor, the more situationally versatile a build is, the better it is. Because what that really means is you know exactly what to do in any given situation. It doesn't mean you're going to survive for every situation just because you know what to do, but at least you know what to do. You shouldn't be panicking in any given situation. Obviously, as a scout, that's pretty easy, especially when you're like surrounded. You know you can just zip line out usually, or use a cryo grenade. But for the most part, I think it's best to show this build in practice. I did feel kind of feel the need to cover up this thing, like again though, the special bolt, the chemical explosive bolt, because well, yeah, you can't actually inflict this status effect on frozen enemies, and that's because we need to separate the two. So the cryo bolts are for high priority targets, high HP priority targets, and swarmers, while the chemical bolts are for actual crowd clearing. Mixed in with the M1000, obviously taking care of the poisoned enemies, but also just using the M1000 with our armor breaking and our penetration to just blast through hordes anyway. You won't see that much because I'm really bad at aiming with the M1000, but it should still come through. The use should still come through, I hope. I think the best thing to do is to start. We've got a big mission lined up. I think I'm going to do a elimination after this, because this is a build that works in elimination. I think for a long time, because Dreadnoughts are so hard to freeze, people kind of just took for granted that they couldn't really use temperature at all against Dreadnoughts. But you can absolutely use this build against Dreadnoughts. Absolutely. Not the Caretaker though. I'm not doing an Industrial Sabotage. Yes, you can freeze rival enemies, and that does help you kill them. That's true. So this build wouldn't be completely invalid. You might want to swap out the chemical bolts for taser bolts in that situation, though. But first of all, I don't like Industrial Sabotage that much. And, situational versatility aside, not every build can have a 100% hit rate on every mission. Especially, a mission like Industrial Sabotage. In fact, it's mainly just Industrial Sabotage itself. It's the kind of mission that kind of locks builds out of it. It's the most specific mission type in the game, and I think that's the reason why there are a lot of builds that kind of just don't work. With it, often temperature-based builds or status effect-based builds in general kind of fall short on Industrial Sabotage, and I think that's a real shame. And I think that's something that should be addressed. But for now, that is the way it is. So I think we're going to do this and then an elimination. Hopefully with some kind of interesting warning, but yeah, I mean, I want to prove to you that you can use this build against Dreadnoughts. But yeah, on the whole, it's a fairly standard Scout Cryo build, but I think it's a pretty refined version of it. You probably can't get much better. Obviously, it kind of speaks of unrefinement when you can't inflict the special bulk stats effect on frozen enemies, but that speaks to this being more of a distinct build aside from just being a cryo build, in that it has that element to it that we use completely divorced from the actual cryo aspect, which I think is actually kind of interesting and useful. It's there for a reason, you know. I could be using pheromone bolts, but pheromone bolts wouldn't help us clear crowds, you know. I really don't like relying on the M1000 to do that. I don't like relying on blow through to crowd clear. Really don't like it, and so I won't be doing it. I'll be doing it sometimes, but I do have special bolts to lean on, you know. That's sort of what it is. Anyway, I think we're gonna keep going until I run into some enemies, and then of course I'll begin cutting between combat scenarios for the sake of brevity. But of course, I mean, we could. I don't know what there is to talk about in regards to Deep Stealth at the moment. I really do believe we are on the cusp of seeing some stuff from Season 5. I really hope we are. I think we're in the position where, obviously by the end of the month, I think that's obvious, but I think within the next couple weeks, within the next 2 weeks, so by the end of next week, I think we should start actually seeing teasers. That lines up actually with how it normally goes. Obviously, I'm not, you know, Season 5 is not the most normal, but I don't expect it to be too different in when we start seeing stuff, especially given that they are intending to be more open about it. Well, that's a menace that you can hear right there, so that's something. Hello? Oh, it's actually below. Okay. Shellback. I get the feeling that the cave we're about to enter is going to be quite substantial. Breather. Grunt. Yeah, I mean, that's something I don't like about Hipster. The fact that I can't one-shot body shot a grunt. Which might excuse taking less ammo, but you actually kind of can't with this cryo build. You actually kind of need all the ammo, which is surprising. A breeder, perfect. Now, a breeder, this is one of the coolest breakpoints, I think, maybe in the game. Right, first of all, this idiot needs to die. Come on, perfect. I actually wasn't 100% sure if you could do that. If you could actually freeze a menace just with the bolts before it actually tunneled away. That's good. But I think you definitely need two. Right, Praetorian is one that you definitely need two for. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, okay. That's fine. What about a breeder though? One, that should do it. It's dead. Why is it focused in? I'm not even touching the controller. The hell?
Time to earn your paycheck, team. Got a doozy of a swarm underway.
That was weird. Hi, fellas. Yeah, that's the kind of thing where we can't really afford to use the cryo bolts. If it was a big Horde Mac Terror, I think if it was like 3 or 4 Tritors even, I probably would have used a grenade, but in that situation, not particularly fussed. I think that's going to be a 2 as well. And yes, even though they don't look frozen, shellbacks do get frozen, technically. They do take the damage bonus. So, how about a bomber? Well, bomber actually is very nice to kill with the M1000, but we can use the cryo bolts if we want. As long as we use a well-placed cryo grenade as well. That didn't feel like a waste. Like, if it was just like a it was just a goo bomber in an isolated scenario, that might have felt like a waste, but... There we go. That's chemical bolts for you. Okay, an oppressor. Now, an oppressor's the kind of enemy that you would normally want to use a cryo grenade against. I think given that I'm down to 2, though, I'm going to try and avoid that. I don't know how many bolts you need exactly, though. Can 2 do it? No, we're going to need at least 3, I think. I'm not sure if it's coming, like, off in this footage, but this build isn't exactly my thing. And that's because the M1000 isn't my thing. That's the main reason why. Which I think is fair. I don't like spamming a weapon that... It doesn't really have any, you know, aim assist. I think that's actually the problem. Really hard to use with a controller. The M1000, which is, I think, is just one of the reasons why we don't like it that much. You know, me or Tyler. Apologies for that, but, you know, I am British. So, I think that actually displayed the strengths pretty well. We got some good efficient use out of the chemical bolts. I used the cryo bolt in tandem with the cryo grenades for all the right things. In fact, it's probably the most efficient I've been with the M1000 with this build in a while. Felt really good, actually. I think let's have a peek into this big cage before I cut anything. Although I think, you know, that I did hear the, you know, the breeder, the menace, and the shellback. I think those have all been dealt with. Ah, spitballers, a very clean 1 cryo bolt job. I think if you can actually hit them before they wake up, you can avoid them shooting at all, which is ideal. But that's also one of the nicer break points of this build. And now, I'll see you when I get attacked. See? So, another menace just spawned. This is kind of the time when you need to realise what kind of man you are. Whether you're the man who wastes a whole cryo grenade on a menace or not. And I am. I can do that. Although I probably won't do it again. I might need that cryo grenade at some point. The last one, so I won't use it. Oh, I got actually, you know what I do wonder about? Because obviously, we kind of made this... It wasn't, like, silent. We did agree on it, but it's kind of... We kind of just moved towards a mutual understanding, me and Tyler, that the channel is for Ghost Ship developed games, not Ghost Ship publishing, right? And I think a lot of that had to do with Survivor and whether or not we would cover it. And I eventually made the choice not to. You know, I think us dedicating ourselves to what Ghost Ship themselves develop is a little bit more interesting because it doesn't spread us thin either. Especially because it's a lot harder to be interested in the way that you have to be to make videos about something, or like more than a few things. And I think, yeah, we will be splitting ourselves across Deep Rock and Rocore when Rocore comes out. In fact, we already have done a lot of discussion about Rocore. I mean, the last episode of the podcast is evidence of that. But we're very interested in what Ghost Ship themselves do. We're very invested in them as a company, as a developer. So I don't think we're going to have any problem staying interested in what they do with Rocore as well. Okay, that's not actually a chemical bolt job. Or is it? Oh. Actually, this is a cryo bolt job, weirdly enough. Sometimes you need that, especially for guards. Chemical bolts don't do much to guards. Okay, what about... How easily can we freeze? Maybe I just need to hit it. Oh. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. Might be a place for a resupply.
Supplies are on the way.
Don't do those things that I just did. Like that. not moving, for example. Don't do that. Move. Stay on your toes. Otherwise, you'll just get shot and killed.
Saved by a machine, how humiliating. Flares are recharging. That was my last night.
Good news, team. The wave is thinning out.
Okay.
No more bolts. It's past your expiration date.
And that wasn't a particularly well shot. Well, I mean, aside from that hiccup, though, I think that was a fairly efficiently dealt with swarm. You know, it's actually a very good mark of a scout build when you can get through two swarms without like running out of ammo completely. It wasn't completely comfortable. I did use most of my ammo, but still, not bad at all. Okay, I think it's time once again to skip to the next combat scenario. Although, of course, so here's the thing about longer missions, especially in the context of recording a video like this, is that you're kind of locked into a specific enemy pool. I mean, it was a surprise to me that we had spreaders because we didn't get spreaders in the first swarm, but missions kind of, you know, choose their enemy pools upon generation, which means we kind of know what we're going to get for the rest of it. So I'll definitely show you a couple things, but ideally we would actually come across something significant, like an event of some kind. Especially in such a long mission where they have a higher chance to spawn. But yeah, I think, well, I'm going to cut to something anyway, so I'll see you. Well, I'll see you in a split second, but for me it'll be longer. For you it'll be a split second.
Chill factor.
I just didn't feel like dealing with them. Right, this is going to be an interesting mix, I think. Allows some natural nice, right, like M1000 on frozen group action. Good to get some of that in. I mean, it is a cryo build after all. Anyway, that wasn't really anything. I should probably like wait until closer to the end of the mission, or if we find like a, I don't know, a bulk detonator or something, I guess it'd be interesting to fight, or an event. Either way, yeah. I mean, maybe I don't have to announce every time I cut video. Okay, so we got a big crowd here, and I think this is a chemical bolt job. Definitely. Okay, hold on. You. And another one. Oh god, there's many. There are many. There are many. There are many. Many guards. Fire bolts, go. Ah! Alright, I'll show this swarm. I'm going to have to retreat back to my resupply, though, I think. Can I take... Oh, yeah, I can justify taking one. Good. Because even when I'm in like a desperate scenario, I'm still thinking, can I justify a resupply? It's kind of debilitating, actually.
Kill some more crates.
Contact! Lock and load!
Woo! Oh. Yeah.
I put some shells in the shell back. Damn flares could need an upgrade. Eat that! You snooze, you lose.
Oh, no! Fuck you. Sounds weird.
Hostiles are backing down. Finish them.
Oh, he's vibing. Okay, well that was a swarm. Oh, we're not quite done yet.
Flares recharging.
Okay. We done? Look at these things. They look weird. Oh, no, they don't. Oh, no, they don't. Okay. Well, you can ignore that. Here's how to kill grunts with just cryo bolts. But not very many of them.
Gotta wait.
That's kind of why I don't do it. They just don't have the staying power that fire bolts have.
Let's show them some pain.
But I haven't used fire bolts in a while. I used to just do missions because I found it so satisfying to use them with pheromone bolts. Oof. How times have changed. How they will change again once I get some new overclocks. My favourite weapon. Ah. Hello.
Light.
That's a chemical bolt horde if I've ever seen one. Yeah, you silly pricks. Oh, I'm the silly prick! Oh! Whoa! Whoa, 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 whoa! Calm down. Calm down.
Have to wait for flare recharge.
I don't know what that was all about.
Eat it. Swallow this.
Looks like a nice place. A dead rabbit on the floor. Alright.
Breaks over my swarm
Oh.
directly for you.
Okay. Alright, I think I'm gonna... After this swarm, though, I'm really gonna tighten this up because this mission might end up lasting a bit too long.
Where is the damn tin?
In fact, I'm gonna try and stay on the move as well during this.
Moscow. Mine
Let's
it.
quickly get that.
They're here.
The bunny. Oh,
Line
this
is
room's
up.
actually weirdly compact.
Ludicrous speed.
Nice donut.
What's this? Got it right between the eyes.
Hmm?
Cryo.
That was the most... That was begging for a cryo grenade. Nice. Ooh. Good. Which one do I kill first? Wait, this one.
I got the Glyphid Praetorian. Hover boots. Stings worse than it smells.
You're almost through the wave, team. Go, go.
Okay. Right, let's just lay down some cryo traps.
Ready.
Is that gonna do it? It didn't. That's amazing. I can't believe my eyes.
Red sugar.
Fuck off.
Don't waste your ammunition.
I think it's probably the biggest mark of the game's like evolution, and honestly, biggest mark of why the Gen 3 weapons are so good, is that I can now actually play Hazard 5s comfortably as a solo scout. And I need to like sort of hammer that in, because I kind of can't do that unless I'm using either the Drac or the Crossbow in one of my slots. Like, genuinely. There are some, especially with double barrel now, especially with double barrel being present in the game.
Where is that damn
And also electric reload on the GK2. There's sometimes I can use that with a Gen 1 or 2 secondary and be fine. But overall, it is the Drac and the Crossbow that really make Scout, in my opinion, usable in solo Hazard 5.
fiendish technology makes Molly constantly
Which might just indicate that I'm not as good as I should be, but look, man, I'm probably not going to, at this point, I'm not going to get any better at this game. There's got to count for something. Anyway, like I said, I'm supposed to be tightening this video up now. So I think I will either see you if there's an event of some kind, or when we get to extraction. So I can hear an event.
can't carry anymore.
It's a prospector data deposit, which is there it is. My least favourite event in the game, but it will put us in an interesting position, and, you know, it's a difficult event.
Right here.
It's a good test for a build, especially, you know, it's a good test in the sense that it's kind of a really shitty event, so it shouldn't really knock you, like, your confidence in the build if you lose, because it's a pretty, I think it's not very well designed, to be honest, but it means if you pull through, then you have reason to be very confident in your build. It means you've clearly got something going on. So we are absolutely going to be doing this.
All right, you lugs. I'm spotting
And I guess this swarm as well.
Get ready.
Hacking pod.
Okay.
Received. Hacking
Alright, I'm going to put a resupply
clear.
over there. That's not a terrible position for it to be in, I don't think.
Stand back. Supply pod inbound.
Ready yet? I die a little inside every time.
Maybe better.
Big one, team.
Is that a cryo grenade worthy group? Oh, fuck it, I don't care to fight them. Oh!
Up to the prospect of data deposit. Chop chop, team.
I'm not scared of you. Yeah, give me some sugar.
Dun, 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 dun.
Lloyd!
Okay, okay, it didn't work that time. Though it should appear frozen, I'm pretty sure. The menace. I might be wrong about that. I was wrong. But it still got frozen somehow,
Hiding from me, bug.
and I'm not here to complain.
Hello.
Scanner showed the wave is spinning out. Take out the rest of them. Stats.
Oh my god!
Flares ain't ready.
I think what I'm going to do after this is actually go into elimination and keep it pretty Dreadnought exclusive. Like, I probably won't even show you the start unless, you know, there's some actual unique enemies. Like, I guess I'll try and make it so I actually show anything that wasn't in this mission. So, like, Grabber or a Stingtail or a Bulk Detonator if one happens to show up. But I'm going to try and just show a couple Dreadnought fights after this. And after this event anyway, I'm going to try and make sure the only thing I show of this mission is the extraction. I don't think we're going to get anything else out of it. But we are going to get rival enemies from this, which is interesting. And I was talking about extraction. You know, I might die during this, you know.
Established to the data deposit. Activate the hacking drone when you're ready.
So there might not be an extraction.
Haxie. Die, worthless crystal.
Hack begun.
So I haven't really used this against rival enemies because I wouldn't do that voluntarily.
Enemy frozen.
Hacking drone is under
I think that makes sense.
It's safe, so it can work.
Will that do it? Oh, I'm going to... That should freeze it, right? Bomber? No. Okay, that's not very nice.
Got no flares ready.
God, yeah, okay, that's definitely not worth using cryo bolts for.
We need some pest control on the hacking drone. Blasted.
I hope the biggest problem, this is obvious to people, right? The biggest problem, I mean, Tyler's right about the fact that it not stopping enemies from spawning when it goes down is a problem, but I just think you should be able to repair him as you go. You know?
Hacking commencing again.
Or you should put up some kind of emergency shield when you need to reboot it. That would actually work as well. It wouldn't be hard to make it fine. It still wouldn't be a particularly interesting effect, but like it's so filler as well. It's literally just one of the mechanics from the Industrial Sabotage mission just slapped into there. Well, there you go. This is already going south. I mean, I don't really see what I can really do against Shredders. I can just hope Ozco... Who the fuck is Ozco? I hope that Ozco can do pretty decent against them. He can, they are tiny enemies. I'm going to set up the perimeter. For some reason. It looks like it's kind of working. I want an actual patrol bot, because you can freeze patrol bots, like, properly. And not properly, but you can, like, in the same way you can a shellback. Like, then they will take triple damage.
Keep the hacking drone secure. Get those
You mind?
bugs off the hacking drone now, damn it.
Obviously they don't mind, but come on, man.
Hackerbot is back online. Getting more ammo.
Hack commencing.
Lighting up.
Alright, come on then. Let's get on with it.
We got bogeys on the hacking drone.
I don't know, presser I just said. Might be.
Hacking has been interrupted. Get whatever is attacking the drone off it.
Gotta restart the hacking drone ASAP.
Yeah, I really can't do anything to the Shredders. Like, there's no way that I'm gonna hit them with the M1000, you know? Me? Are you kidding?
Wait for their return. Whack-a-mole. Hacking drone up and running again.
Yeah, I literally
Hacking drone resuming.
I only really did it because I wanted to fight a patrol bot. And clearly that's not gonna happen.
Hacking drone under attack. The drone
Oh, wow.
can't hack as long as there's bugs beating it up. Do something.
We gotta restart hacking.
Hacking
Smile
drone
and wave,
resuming
boys.
hack.
Smile and wave. It's also just the fact that it clears the area around it, but it just places the hacking pod in a random location. Like that really fucks me off.
Hacking has been interrupted. Get whatever is attacking the drone off
Bro,
it.
shut up. It's over.
Hope I'm not getting sick.
Get over it.
Data cell deposited. Management will be pleased.
And like I said, the last thing I'm going to show you from this mission is extraction. Unless I die. But yeah, I think that immediately exposed a weakness there. Like I said, you can freeze patrol bots and you can freeze turrets, but like Shredders, what are you going to do? When the only thing you have that could kill them is the M1000, you know? But there's a weakness there. You could call, like, it's not all tiny enemies. The cryo bolts handle swarmers okay, and if you can find like a bit of like ground, like this jutting out of the ground, a bit of terrain that's jutting out of the ground, you can handle shockers that way. And shockers, you could, like a really big group of shockers, you could probably justify cryo grenading anyway. But yeah, that is something of weakness exposed. I don't think it being like a dire, like oppressive scenario was a weakness for the build though. I don't think we really suffered because of that.
Take off.
I want to say I don't think it really thrives in super like intense scenarios either. but I don't think it suffers in the mute, which is a fine position to be in. Respectable position.
Lights up!
Anyway, like I said, extraction time. Or death. I did something weird. I poisoned a warrior instead of freezing it. I didn't mean to, but it happened. Not a problem. Okay. Clearly I'm in M1000 spam mode. Sorry, I don't know why I needed to show you that. But I did show you it, so... Joy. Oh, you definitely can't do that. You definitely can't actually kill the presser before down freezes. If you haven't already dealt some damage to it by now. Oh, I had. Oh, yes, death! Death!
Bosco, you
Death
are
comes to all.
You're a stain on the floor. Like beating a bottomless pit.
Oh!
Help me mine this.
Okay.
Resupply arrived. Go resupply.
Get out of it now. So, what do we actually learn? Well, I've kind of realised I think the main drawback of this build is that it's not a particularly safe one, right? Which is something you might expect from a cryo build, especially on Driller, right? Using a cryo cannon and using cold radiance in tier 5, which you should be. Pretty safe, like, especially in close quarter situations. Here, you're, like, definitely not. You sort of have to wait for things to happen a lot of the time, and your primary is very, even if it can hit multiple enemies, very precise, which means it's not particularly good at close range. But we can still handle groups of enemies with relative ease. We can handle larger enemies with a lot of ease. Like, we can basically just disable them immediately. Well, not immediately, but we can disable them and keep our distance until they are frozen pretty easily. Flying enemies aren't a huge deal. Large groups, we can use a cryo grenade, and, you know, individual ones, the M1000 can clear up pretty easily. Rival enemies are a bit finicky. We still haven't really tested it, but shredders are clearly like a problem if we're going up against rivals. I think really the last thing to show is how good it is against Dreadnoughts, which I can't remember when I last did that. I'm weirdly confident in it though. So let's hope that confidence is rewarded. Oh, here's a Brundle, the one thing I said I would use a Cryobolt against. One Mactera. But clearly that's not worth it. But I'm still going to do it. Yeah, especially with an arm breaking in 1000, you're probably better off just shooting it than waiting for it to freeze. Yeah, there's no real, aside from like shredders and probably some other like specific enemies like the Caretaker, I'm sure, probably most Dropbox enemies. There's nothing that really is too powerful for this build. You know, we can handle most types of enemies pretty much no problem, especially like individually. You know, in hordes it can get a bit much. It can be hard like to know what to focus on because we have to because obviously we have to wait for like the higher priority enemies to be made vulnerable, especially Praetorians and things. So it can be hard to know what to prioritize, but I think it comes together fairly well, especially if you're able to keep your movement good. You could be like grappling away from enemies pretty regularly, be pretty much constantly on the move. And as long as you can keep that up, I think you've got a really solid build here. I'm pretty confident in it. I think, like I said, I think the last thing is, well, what about like proper boss enemies? You know? And so, what we're going to do now. I think first we'll actually look at what's available. I would like an interesting warning. Not really rival presence, I don't think. I mean, that's fine. We're not really going to go. Don't really want to go there. Yeah, this one. I don't feel the need to do 3 Dreadnoughts. So, yep, like I said, I'm going to keep it real tight. I'm going to try and show you just the Dreadnought fights, and any other like enemies that we didn't fight last time. Nothing I'm going to change about it. It's perfect the way it is. Obviously, I didn't actually really go through it like upgrade by upgrade, but I think you can understand just by looking at this what the idea is. On either of them. There you go. Let's go fight some Dreadnoughts. Alright, we've got Stingtails. There's also a Betsy in this mission, which is pretty cool. Wait, can one Cryobolt do it? It can. I'm a very happy man about that. Yeah, we've got a Betsy in this mission as well, and I'm thinking about Betsy. How does she work? Well, it turns out she can be frozen. I looked at the wiki. The temp shock thing isn't a glitch. She can be frozen, but it's the same as freezing a shellback, where they don't act as if they're frozen, but they technically are, so they'll take the damage. They just won't, you know, freeze. Anyway, there's a Dreadnought right there. Let's get it. Please don't be a Hive God. Normal Dreadnought! My favourite. But we'll definitely poison him, because that's some good damage over time. But yeah, this is going to be fun.
No, the flares are recharging.
I don't really know how much we need to actually do to freeze it. I think that's about right. Yeah, so 3 bolts and a grenade will do it. How many just bolts? What if we just use bolts? Will 4 be enough? It might be. It might be. Use 5. Okay. Probably wasn't worth doing at that point. I think 4 can do it. I think. I believe it can. That's good. That's what we wanted. I'm actually overusing the cryo though, compared to the chemical bolts or even the M1000 itself. I'm gonna be boring and let the chemical bolts do a bit of work. Going to use more than one. I'm probably going to try and finish this guy without using the cryo bolts. But that was really good though. Like that was really good use of them. Like it worked. Obviously we used quite a lot of them, but it's worth it to do a whole Dreadnought fight. It's really not a problem. In fact, fuck it. I'm going to... actually, no, I'm not. I won't freeze him again. Good. Got my fill. Still have more than half the M1000 ammo. Okay, so that went really well. Once again, I mean, I won't show you probably any more Sting Tails just because they show up. But yeah, I think we'll get to either the next Dreadnought or the Betsy. Hopefully we'll do Betsy first. It's very nice that we got a Betsy. Hopefully that will be a good show. But yeah, let's get to it. Okay, so this is a little bit weird. We actually got a fucking horde of web spitters. Fucking thousands of them. A bunch of Praetorians too. Hi. How's it going?
Free! We are free from the oppressor!
Yeah, so oh, what the fuck?
Out of explosive!
Yeah, I did call the resupply down in a room that has nothing in it, kind of deliberately, because we're going to move into the next room. That's where both the second Dreadnought and Betsy will be. So, it's going to be a fun one, you might say. You're funny, do marry me, can you? I love you and I love your chest. Probably shouldn't sing that. I don't even know what it's. Well, I know it's from World of Warcraft. I think.
Lighting!
Found Betsy. She's not where I thought she'd be. Why would you do that, Bosco? Why would you? I can't really tell. I think she might be technically frozen. That was definitely a lot of damage, but it takes a lot of damage anyway. Oh well. I think we must have frozen her. We must have done, because that was very easy. Interesting. But yeah, I assumed that she was in the other room, not just round the corner. Well, there you go. There's Betsy.
Wait, flare recharge.
Okay. Next Dreadnought. Alright, how about Brood Nexus?
Flares recharging.
Well, one bolt, a couple shots, dead. So there you go. So look at this cave leech.
Lights up.
Oh, damn it! I was trying to power attack it.
Ceiling.
Ah,
Drone, get to work.
miserable. Yeah. Alright, let's get on with it. I feel like it's going to be a hive. I can go with either Dreadnought, to be honest, actually. Either of the other two. I don't mind,
Damn,
but
ceiling bug.
I kind of want it to be the twins.
Resupply ordered.
Hang in there. Supplies are on the way.
It is the twins. And I think it makes... I hope you would have seen this. I'm going to try and freeze the Arbalest first. Do some big damage to it.
Time to restock. Fire.
I don't know how many we're going to need. I assume it's probably going to be no more than 3 or 4, maybe? I think 4 will do it. Like it will. There we go. I don't think that will make them heal either. Damage is fairly in check. I'm actually going to have Bosco focus. That's right. Actually, this is the... is that a good time to freeze them or not? I'm actually not 100% sure. It could be considered a good time to freeze them. I think. Start freezing, I mean. But I don't really want to run the risk.
Not ready. Flares recharging.
Okay, now will 3 bolts do it? I don't think 3 bolts is going to do it. I think we need 4. Oh, you motherfucker!
Enemy frozen.
Nice, that's exactly, that's what we wanted. I didn't actually think about trying to do that like specifically, but I'm very glad that it happened. Now I could just beat the shit out of the Lacerator. Which I think is what we all want to do, really.
Dreadnought wiped out.
Alright, well there you go. It's over. Let's get out of here. Okay, so very good against Dreadnoughts as well. I kind of knew it would be. I wasn't, because I've used it before, but it's been a while since I did an elimination specifically this build. But there you go.
Light is up.
An area mission that matters that doesn't work with this build. I think you could get away with doing it on anything, really. Even rock pox is fine. You've got a decent amount of ammo with the M1000, and you can freeze rock pox to help you against them. Rock pox should be okay. But in general, really good. Just a really good build for just pretty much everything in the game except rifles. But even then, I really think that's just the Shredders and the Caretaker specifically. And it's just nice to have like a really like comprehensive cryo build that isn't on Drella as well, you know.
Warp in the pod base for the first round.
You might be thinking, oh, what about cryo miners? Is there like a good build for them? I think I'm of the belief that the cryo bolt overclock for the bolt shark has superseded the need for cryo miners to even exist, which really does put a stain on Zukovs. That used to be one of the things that held them up, is the fact that they had a relatively powerful cryo mechanic, but it doesn't really stand up. It doesn't really hold up anymore, you know. Shame. But yeah, I don't think there's anything we need to change about it. I think this build is pretty much perfect the way it is. It's not, you know, it's not literally the best build in the world, but I don't think you could. I don't know what would be a better Scout Cryo build personally. If you can think of one, please let me know. But for now, I think that's it. So, as always, If you enjoyed this, please make sure to like and subscribe. If you've used the build yourself, which I suggest that you do, please tell me how it was. If you have any suggestions, please feel free to leave them below. And if you want to see more videos like this, and you want to stay on top of everything to do Deep Rock Galactic and Roll, then hit the bell as well. And also, if you're feeling extra generous, I think we should probably do this now, given that we actually have a member. Maybe consider becoming a member as well, only if you really like us. I don't think it's going to be a weird way of me to say it, but I don't think we inherently deserve it. But it is an option there if you want. It's only £1.99 a month. And you do get like super priority for like podcast questions and conversation topics. And of course, you do get like some special emotes in Twitch and in live stream chat and things like that. But yeah, it's just there if you don't like it. It's kind of designed to be a very throwawayable amount of money, but even if you don't feel like it, it's totally not a problem. We don't inherently think we deserve it, but it would be awesome if you were to consider it at all. But I think that's it. I'll catch you next time with a really cool engineer build, actually. Like, genuinely. I'm not going to say anything about it yet, but I think it's one of my favorites, just in terms of the concept, like the conceptualization of it, or the conception of it. But yeah, that's going to be it. As always, thank you for watching. I won't do any more of the rigmarole of ending a video, so I'll see you next time. Actually, we'll see you on... Well, hopefully I'll see you before Saturday with some kind of cool news thing. But aside from that,